All right, thanks for joining us again on a Femme Through Service, a V2VG video podcast in this case.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get the other one up on a audio podcast, the one we did last time
Yeah.
on viruses and stuff. But it's giving me a hard time, but I'm going to get it done. They keep flagging
pushing at it.
But
Yeah.
I'll get it done. And so this time we want to do something a little bit different, not so serious as it was last time, right?
Well, yeah, and I think we have a lot has happened to us individually and as an organization in the last couple weeks, and I thought it would be great to just kind of let people know who we are, and this is us, this is me,
Yeah.
this is you, and we don't change no matter what the situation is. We're the same mission, the same guys that are doing the same thing and believe in the same basic goals and things like that.
It's true. One of the things that stood out to me was something that my wife said. We recently went to there's an event called the Kamek 5K run walk race sponsored by Kamek in the industrial park here in Littleton, and there are a bunch of vendors set up and a lot of nonprofits set up to for informational booths,
Yeah.
basically. One of the things you do is, if you're a runner or a walker, you get a little fish, okay, and you walk around, and the nonprofit or charity that you like the most, you put the fish in the bucket.
In the little bucket, yeah.
And at the end of the day, they count the fish, which count our votes, and the person, the charity or the nonprofit with the most fish wins the pot, wins the prize, which is over $3,000.
Yes.
And we won. It's the first time.
We've ever even been there. And
Yeah.
no, we did not run nor walk
No.
during this event.
But we came in and we blew everybody away because we were literally a walk-on charity, and we won by a significant margin.
And we weren't trying to sell anything literally or our organization. We were just trying to be informational.
Yep.
And let people get to know the two ugly faces of Veterans Group,
And so what my wife said was that she walked around, and she brought my two little guys with her, and she walked around and she went to the different booths, different tents that were set up before she came to us, before she came to our informational gazebo or table.
Yep.
And afterwards, and she said, I was watching you and Chuck interact with the people, the runners, the racers, and the crowd that came to cheer people on. And she said, you guys were engaging, you were smiling, you were talking, you weren't selling anything, you weren't pushing anything, you were just being yourselves. And she said the other groups, the other charities, other organizations, weren't doing that as much. They were basically it's not that they weren't smiling, but they were just kind of sitting back and letting people engage them. Right? So people would come up and they would wait for people to engage them before they would respond, whereas we would draw people in and say, hey, you need a wristband to
Yep.
go with your run, and all this stuff. And we weren't saying, hey, give us your vote. We were just being ourselves. And she
Yeah.
said you were really engaging, and you were very friendly and amiable. And she said, I think that's one of the reasons why people were so willing to give you their vote, even over other established charities that had been going there for years.
And one of the things that we work hard on, especially in our video podcasts and stuff, is not interrupting each other. But I guess it's a difference for us when we're we're doing an informational booth, because we could be engaged in the conversation. If someone comes up, it's an immediate interruption. We stop ourselves and we give that attention directly to
You mean
the
if we were
individual.
discussing?
Yes.
If we were talking?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is,
Yeah.
I think people see that as well. That, hey, these guys were engaged in the conversation, but they're giving me both their attention now.
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely something that, catches people's eye.
I think it's important. And so we brought gimmicks with us. Gimmicks, a little giveaway swag. Like, we had our pens with us and little, things, and business cards, flyers, bottle openers, and things. But one of the things we got were back in the 70s and 80s, pumping to the music, sweating to the music, little exercise wristbands. And we would they were green, hunter green. matches the primary color of our logo, and we were obviously giving them out, and so we were kind of pushing those out to people, saying, "Hey, it brings out the color of your eyes, or it matches your shirt, or whatever." And a lot of people didn't know what they were for.
Yes, and that was really cool because it was a teaching moment.
Yeah. And I'm like, I wasn't even alive in the 70s, but we were like, wipe the sweat away.
Yeah, sweat into the oldies.
Yeah.
So we had people who grew up in the 70s come and, oh yeah, I remember that. But I was really impressed how many of the little guys and gals really liked them. Like kids who are barely able to talk.
There was a couple kids who came in like 6th or 7th place. There was one like an 8-year-old runner.
Yeah.
And he came in pimping, I don't want to say pimping, but sporting our Team V2VG wristbands. And what did that one woman do at the end with her with the wristbands? She used it as a koozie.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
She
Yeah,
wrapped
that
them
was
around.
funny.
So at this event, all the runners and walkers at the end, you could get a beer for free.
If you were 21 and
If you were
over.
21 or older.
Not all the runners.
And not the 8-year-old kid for sure. So what she did was she said, "Hey, look at this," and she put the 2 wristbands over her beer can as like a sort of koozie. And she's like, it had dual use, so we were kind of chuckling about that. And it turned out that it was good because she was able to grip the beer can during the pouring rain, the monsoon rain that came at the very end.
Like literally at the very end. As soon as they started announcing their winners and different prizes, because they have like a man's winner, a woman's winner, under 18 or whatever. So
Yeah,
they have
different
all
age brackets.
As soon as this guy, I don't know how he was talking by the end. He was so just full of life.
He was awesome. His name was Andrew, but I don't remember his last name.
I don't
Yeah.
recall,
But he was great.
And it wasn't just a light rain. It came out of nowhere. It was just like pouring. But you called it. You said, "Hey, me and you are in Littleton together doing an informational booth. It's going to rain." And to date, we have not been able to do a single informational booth in the town of Littleton without rain.
So what does that make? 4 in a row?
Yes. So
Yeah.
and your wife was so kind to leave your windows cracked, so we got to mop up your seats with our asses.
Yeah,
so
that was
cool.
nice. So we were soaked up from the outside and the inside. That was great, and it was parked far away.
Well,
so we got to so our feet were a little bit wet. It was great, but it was a little bit warm before the rain came.
It was very humid when we first got there. Quite sunny.
Yeah.
And then when the race started, it seemed to get a little bit of an overcast, and then all of a sudden it was pretty crazy. And but overall it was a really fun event. I mean, it was so diverse with different age groups, men, women, couples, families, single people,
everything.
It was just one guy
ran
with his dog.
Yeah, one guy did run with his dog.
Unbelievable! I was like, that's so awesome.
What about the man you saw that ran with his stroller?
Yeah, so I mean, it was really cool.
He ran with his it was a dogging stroller, right? A 3-wheel stroller. And he ran the race with his I'm assuming his kid was in the stroller. Maybe it was a dog. I don't know.
Maybe he was running from the hospital because he stole the baby.
Then he's like, I'm just going to join this race.
But no, it was just really cool. Yeah, it was a good experience. And I really want to go back next year, I think, just to be who we are, not to try and push to get the prize or anything, just to get. But
I didn't even expect to win, Chuck.
The other thing that was brought to our attention was we were the only organization there that it was clear cut who we were, and we were the only veteran organization.
We didn't push what we were doing. We didn't push any, give us your votes. We were just being ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, part of ourselves, because I'm an introvert, but when we go to these events, I have to really try to be extroverted and be friendly and nice to people. I can't just sit there and scowl, because that kind of defeats the whole purpose. And what's the point at that? At that juncture, right?
And I know that takes a lot out of you. I can tell. On this one wasn't too bad because we knew quite a few people there.
I knew a few people. Yeah.
Some of the other ones, man, I know it really takes a lot out of you when there's people we really don't know. And for example, when we went to the one in Vermont, we didn't know anybody there, and it was very overwhelming at times.
It can be.
So,
and I think that goes to say for anybody in any organization or anybody anywhere, when you have to deal with the general public, you have to you can choose to be very standoffish, or you can choose to be friendly and engaging. And I would say that generally, you should try to be engaging, because you know what's the saying? You get more flies with honey than with vinegar. Or there's other variations of that saying too.
Yeah, it's,
But again, we didn't go to this event to win any prize. I didn't think we would win anyway, because, like I said, we were a walk-on charity. We were brand new, never been there before.
Yeah.
There were established charities that had been there many, many times.
Yeah, the last 5-6 years,
Yeah,
whatever.
we were just there to make our charity known. Like, Chuck and I went there to say, hey, this is who we are, give out some information, and most importantly, to get some contacts.
And we did. We came up with a couple contacts. We
Yeah.
came up with a couple prospective cases,
Yes.
which we are knocking on the 100 cases door. We are at
Successful cases.
598.
Yeah.
I started at 5 just so it wasn't 098. But so we're at our 98th case, which we just did our intake for today.
Yep.
So what are we gonna do when we get to 100? We got to do something.
They're going to mandate.
Yeah, go to the Black Mountain Burger place, or
Yeah, Fiesta Jalisco's.
you
or
know, we'll have to
somewhere.
go somewhere, right?
Yeah, we should definitely go to Conway so we can stop at the barracks.
Yeah, but and I think
2 birds, 1 stone.
we are who we are, but I think there's been a lot of growth in us individually, working together with each other. We feed off of each other's
Yeah.
energies.
Yep.
You've helped me develop a filter, which I pretty much didn't have before. But as it is has become known, I am not fit to be involved with any political stuff. Unfortunately, you had a doctor's appointment, so you couldn't attend. But we had a meeting where
Yeah.
some of my not friendly colors came out. I gotta say though, I swore once, and it wasn't at anybody. It was as an example. So that
Which
was
is
good.
fair. That's fair.
Which is good. But I did lose my temper a few times as we as Veterans to Veterans Group was being accused multiple times of trying to take over some program, which wasn't the case. We were asked to help solve problems, which what we do. We don't look at the issues. We try and find the solutions.
Yes.
And
With everything.
and when you're in a group of people where one is a politician and just wants to have their name on this program, and another one really doesn't want to change anything at all and do as little as possible, it makes it very difficult to move forward in creating a program that's going to be sustainable.
Well, the idea is growth, right? Any program, any initiative, anything of that nature needs to grow and continue to grow, because if you're not growing, you're either stagnant or you're receding, you're failing, you're decaying. And we've said that on YouTube before. I know we've said it on our audio
absolutely.
podcast before, especially about our organization, Veterans to Veterans Group. If you're not growing, you're not adapting and changing, you're heading in the wrong direction. And if you're not moving anywhere, if you're plateauing, you need to figure out something to lighten things up, because you need to continue to grow. An organization is nothing if they're not growing, because there's always something that can be done.
Yeah, and a great example.
Something that can be done better, excuse me, right?
And a great example of that is our last board meeting, which was our big one, our semi-annual.
Yeah.
4 years ago, if the same thing would have happened, it would have been very different. Your wife, Jen, who's the treasurer, and myself got into a very heated verbal spat over very stupid logistics of
A program,
we're
yeah.
trying to do. And 4 years ago, I would have been probably calling her every name under the sun, and she straight out said she would have been swinging. But we said what we had to say, and then we ended up getting past it. We're moving on,
Yeah.
and we end up ending the meeting and laughing about some other things, making some jokes, and later on we took some time, and later on we apologized
Yeah.
and things. So
Very mature, very, very professional.
and it was very different than either one of us would have been, a few years ago, and stuff. And it was great because the other board members got to see us as executives, kind of fighting over little things, and
But fighting
that
over
it's not
something you're
only one
passionate
person.
about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jen and I have a tendency to take things very personally when we're invested in them.
Sure.
And,
But I think
so
everybody
that
does.
happened.
Everybody does.
You know.
And Veterans to Veterans group is still very new. It's very young. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the organization and for our clients. Because if the organization fails, then we're not helping our clients.
No, absolutely. And, you know, and a big part of that, and which we've talked about many times, is having that downtime, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you pretty much gave me a week where you had the phone, and my wife and kids, we went and stayed 2 nights at a place and just took some time. You guys are planning on, you know, you got your little trips here and there, and having that opportunity to kind of do the reset button, you know.
You need to recharge.
Yeah.
Everybody needs R&R sometimes.
Yeah,
Right?
so-
Especially in a high, look, any charity where you assist clients, you assist people, human beings who are in need, like Veterans to Veterans group does. You need time to yourself to collect your thoughts and collect yourself, because it can be,
I mean, it
draining.
Oh, absolutely, and overwhelming. I
Yeah.
mean, we're taking on other people's problems, and we don't want to just hear a money amount. Oh, well, I
No.
need this much money. We
Nope.
want to know what their story is.
Yes.
Can we help you in other ways?
Yeah.
Those type of things, because they might be coming saying, "Oh, well, I need to make a car payment." But after talking to them, we find out they don't have any food in the house, or they haven't.
And we
paid
wanna
rent.
help with that,
and
too.
now we have to help sort out the,
Yes.
you know. And we've been there. We know what it's like to not have food in the house, or not
Oh yeah,
pay rent,
literally.
or you know,
Yeah.
and
We
those
look at
things.
them as people, not as numbers.
Yeah.
Yes, we give them a case number, but that's for our internal
Yes.
files. But we look at them as client or person, you know, Smith or whatever, not as, you know, 597. And when we refer to them, we refer to them as, you know, Jones or Smith or Bill
Yeah.
or whoever. We never. They're never a number to us. They're always a person, because people need help. Numbers don't.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, we have to logistically do numbers because
Sure,
you and
sure.
I are the only caseworkers. So for their privacy, we have to, until they give us
Yes. When we
permission.
push it out, yeah.
So
And like you said, that's for privacy. So
Yeah.
when we approach our board members, it's with a case number and not their name, unless the board member for some reason wants their name, and then we take it from there. But for caseworkers and for executives, it's names, because people need assistance, and we always keep that in our forefront of our mind when we're making a motion. And like Chuck said, it's not just, oh, I need help with my car payment. Okay, well, we can address that. And then Chuck or I, usually Chuck as the head case manager, says, well, what else do you need help with? Are you behind in any other bills? How is your food? How is your heating? How is your, you know, how are your winter clothing? You know, what's your whole situation? Because that's who we are, not just Veterans to Veterans group.
yeah, you know, and
We want to know how they are doing.
And a good
Right.
example of that is we recently had a case where this woman, she's the caregiver of her father, and
Yeah.
you know, she asked for some assistance with her car payment, oddly enough. But after hearing the story and how many appointments her father has, I'm like, okay, well, how are you guys doing financially as far as gas? So we actually
Yeah.
paid the car payment, but we also put a motion in to get some gas cards to them
Yep.
to help alleviate some of that stress, because, you know,
Fuel's expensive these days.
and when you're talking about doctor's appointments, sometimes you have to make a decision, and you're like, okay, well, I won't eat lunch today, so I can put
Right.
gas in the car.
Yeah.
And especially when it's your family, you know, your father or your mother, and you know there may not be much time left.
And these aren't doctor's appointments that you can afford to miss.
No, exactly.
It's
And-
not just I'm going for tooth cleaning or so. You know, these are real deal appointments.
Yes, and you know, but I think it's those are the things that separate us, and those are the reason why we get the phone calls saying, "Hey, thanks for the help. What's you guys' address?" And then we get the thank you cards,
Yeah.
or
Or even better,
sometimes a check.
you know, what's the
or-
chapter?
Well, that's-
You're the headquarters. You know, one of your chapters helped us, and we want to contact the headquarters to say how good you did.
all kinds of stuff, right?
Well,
It's, you know,
You want to contact our chapter headquarters to tell them how good we did? Okay, send us the letter. We'll make sure it gets to them.
Yeah, I mean, because it
You know,
really is
whatever.
us. And hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to take on one or two people to help with the cases to make things a little
Yeah.
more stress-free. But for now, we're able to manage it, and we read each
Especially
other
since
so
we got
well.
this, right? We
Yeah.
got this space.
The office makes, man, the things we're able to do in 2
All
or
room
3
for
hours a day.
activities.
Oh man! But when we were shifting between our two houses and then the garage, we'd lucky if we get one case done. Now we're able to knock on 2-3 cases at a time. And get them
Yeah.
done, and you know.
And it feels good to be able to help people and to call them or to message them or email them or all three and say, hey, we handled your situation. You're all set. And just to have them, to know that they're just like a sigh of relief and say, you know, thank you for everything. We appreciate it. And sometimes, like you said, we get a card in. And
Yeah.
sometimes we even get a donation. It's not that it's required.
Ever.
Everything we do is free. Everything we do is free. But it is nice. And I mean, especially, you know, Chuck always says, you want to pay us back? Send us a letter that says thank you. Because then what I do is I take a picture of it and leave out the name.
Yep.
And then I put it on our Facebook page or I put it on bands so the rest of the board members can see.
Sometimes we hang them up. I got some.
Yeah,
up
Chuck
here
has some
and-
stuff up there. He's got a newspaper clipping up there that he was in. You know, so we really treat our clients as people because they are. But that's because, not just because Veterans to Veterans Group is designed that way by us, but because that's who we are.
Wait, and yeah, you have a really good example of who we are and who you are. You had a doctor's appointment recently, and it was supposed to be about you, and you actually met with one of the technicians or nurses, and we're going on about who we are and what our mission was. I don't remember exactly what her response was, but you were telling when you went to Concord, and you were telling her about who we are, and
Oh, for the bariatric thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of going for bariatric surgery to try to help me lose some weight. And I was telling one of the bariatric nurses when she asked what I do for work, and I was explaining the situation. And I told her about the charity, and she started crying. And she said that it's amazing that there are people out there that are it's a grassroots charity, right?
Yeah.
That there are people out there who actually care enough to not franchise with a charity, like start off their own little branch of a larger chain that's just a turnkey operation, but start something from scratch with the sole purpose of helping people. Because I told her, she said, well, how much does the charity pay you guys? And I laughed. I said, we're 100% volunteer.
Yep.
None of us get paid. And it's been like that since day one. In fact, I told her that Chuck and I and Big P were out in front with food from our own pantries and money from our own pockets, you know, to try to inspire people to donate. So not only were we not getting paid, we were paying into it.
And she was so like overcome with it that she said something about she knows a DJ or something.
So she knows a DJ down in the Concord area, Concord, Manchester area, as a personal friend, and she wants to talk to. She took a business card, and she wanted to talk to him about interviewing Chuck and I for the radio. So she asked if that was okay, and I said, yeah, it's okay with me. And of course, Chuck agreed. So maybe we'll be on the radio in the near future.
But again, it's just pure examples of who we are, the type of individuals we are, the type of partners we are in running the charity, that you were going there for your own health, all the attention should have been on you, but it was very easy for you to express what you do with your time and why it's so important to you. And that in itself made a big impact on this individual, which is all we hope to do anyway, is just improve somebody's life every
That's
time.
the idea, is if we can help somebody in the ways that they need so their life can be better. I mean, that's the idea. I mean, some people are going through a tough time and all they need is a little bit of help. And Chuck and I very often say we don't give handouts, we give hand-ups. And I know that a lot of people watching and a lot of people listening, they've been in situations where they just needed like if we can just get this payment made, or if we can just
Oh,
get
yeah.
help with this one bill, or if we can just get this little bit done for us, if we can just get over this tiny hurdle that at the time seems like a huge hurdle, if we can just, we'll be okay. Well, that's where we want to come in and say, we got you. We're going to take care of that for you. Because that's where I think we fit into that role.
Especially nowadays when so much is out of our control. We have COVID, we have government shutdowns, we have this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So some of us still want to work, but physically can't
Yeah.
because of, not because they're unable, but because of outside sources.
Yep.
And that makes it even more difficult because now you know you're capable of doing things, but you still feel worthless because somebody in a big White House is telling you you can't.
Or you're not
makes things
essential,
very-
or whatever the case
Yeah.
is. And and that attacks you emotionally, mentally,
Absolutely.
spiritually, and
And
then
we
it
didn't
affects
shut
your
down.
bills.
We didn't shut down for COVID at all. We have zero plans
They
to.
actually ask us, what did you do during the height of the coronavirus? We didn't do anything different. We continued to help people.
And we did, and we met
Matter of fact,
people.
we helped people
and,
more.
And more people came to us because,
Yeah.
but we went to people's houses. If they were okay with us not wearing a mask, we didn't. If they wanted us to wear a mask, that's fine.
That's right.
If they'd rather do it over the phone or Zoom, we did. We do whatever we can to accommodate the individuals we work with.
Because you know what? People still need help. And
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. And like you said, Chuck, they need help even more during the coronavirus height, the peak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when other places were closing down for a variety of reasons, we didn't even slow down, and we increased our speed.
Well, I mean, the good thing for us is we literally live on the same driveway. So, I mean, if either one of us had it and was going to give it, it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
You know?
But you know what? It was meant to be, because it's how V2VG is designed and structured, and it's who we are.
And
We both want to help people. Our board members want to help people, and all of us together know that without the organization and without our board members being on the same page as far as our mission, our overall mission, we wouldn't be where we are. So together, we're able to do what needs to be done for our clients and for the people who need us. And it's not just for them. It makes me feel good. I know it makes you feel good.
Absolutely. It's definitely a form of therapy. And,
Yeah.
And I think the thing to really take away from this is that just remember growth or positive criticism or self-criticism or small adjustments in the way you handle certain things doesn't mean you're not being you. When you say you want to be part of a program, but then expect somebody to just give you money for that program and then that you just want your name on it, that's not being genuine to the program.
No, it's
and so
not,
there
it's
is a
not being
difference.
genuine at all, and it's not growth.
So just remember that. I mean, we should all be aspiring to be better than we were yesterday, and hopefully you all surround yourselves with people like I do, with friends who constantly hold me accountable and have no problem telling me I'm being a dumbass or, hey, you did a good job. And both are needed, all right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
the kicking ass is needed. Sometimes a pat on the back is needed. But it's all about you continuing your journey and trying to surround yourself with better people as well.
Totally agree. It's about growth, right?
Growth.
All right. Thanks, folks. There we go.
Growth.